Hello, everybody. Out here on a blistery March morning. Well, afternoon now, I guess. Um, you got animals, you gotta feed them. So, responsibility is the biggest thing. If you're running a homestead or living your average everyday life in the suburbs, or heck, even in the city, you got some things you've got to take care of. You've probably got a family. You've probably got responsibilities unknown to me. But there is a common thread, and that common thread is that you're responsible for something and you need to do something. And so maybe I'm just talking to the men out here right now, but here's what it is, right? You need to be responsible for things that you can't control. When you can't control it, it's difficult. Oh, we got some deer running up in the woods there. Some goats. Goats! Goats! And so, what you do is you do what you can with those things. I'll give you an example. Having a family and a job, you're going to have hard times in your job and with your family. You're going to have hard times. That's the only thing we know that's going to happen for sure. So, what are we going to do about that? Right? What are we going to do about the hard time that we have? Sorry about that. It's hard to get in this gate holding the phone, holding the feed, and having everything trample up on you. But what are we going to do, right? Are we going to just shirk all those responsibilities when trouble comes along? Well, no, you can't do that, right? You've got kids to feed. You've got a house to keep warm. So you should have a backup plan to everything, right? I drive an old beater truck, and I'll just sit you down here for a second there. Get out of there. All right, folks, here you go. Yep. Good. Come over here. Y'all are gonna fight over that one thing, ain't you? Right there's a bunch of food, right there. Come on. Okay. But anyway, you got an old beat up truck. It's gonna break down. Maybe you need a backup beat up truck. Right? If you've got a job, 9 to 5, one full-time job. Well, guess what happens? They decide they're gonna lay you off. They're gonna fire you. Whatever it is. Well, you can't keep your morals if you rely completely on that income and the boss asks you to do something you shouldn't be doing. Okay? You need you a part-time gig, a business, side hustle, whatever. So, just to give you an idea, I do have a full-time job. I also have a part-time job. Externally paid, part-time job. Then I have a side business, which is really just a business. And then I have investments such as rental real estate. And all these things pay me. Okay? All of them pay me. And I do my little farming thing here, but that ain't nothing. So you've got to have all these different sources. So if one of them decides they're going to make me mad, or they're going to make me do something immoral, nah, I ain't doing that. And then they can decide whether or not they want to fire me for being quote unquote insubordinate to their immorality, right? So I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to do my best for them. But I understand it's a contract, right? But see, employers don't like to understand that it's a two-way contract. They think that just because they pay you a lot of times that they own you. And once you get into that line of thinking and you agree with them, you have no freedom. So don't give them that. Don't give them that. Have your house paid off. Okay? Have you a second house that you rent out. Then if something happens to your first house, you're renting it out on a month to month. One, you're making another income. Two, you've got another house. Okay? So have you a couple of beat up trucks? I'd rather have 2 beat up trucks that I paid $5-10 grand for each than one $30,000 truck. Okay? Or heck, these people, one $60,000 truck. Well, then it breaks down. It's still going to break down. It's still mechanical. Okay? Don't matter how much you pay for it. It's still mechanical and going to break down. How much do you want to have invested in that? Okay? And then you can't have a second one. If you don't have a second one, you can't get to work. Or you can't get to your job. Whatever side job you got going on. Whatever it is. You may lose your job. You may lose your side job. You may lose your extra money. All because you decided you want a big fancy truck, one of them, instead of 2 beat up ones. Okay? Then you can carry liability insurance on it. Anyway, vehicle's a bad deal all the way around. Try to get out as cheap as you can. But, you know, think about those things. Have your debt paid off. That's the best hedge against problems. Have you some money set aside. And I know, how can I possibly do that in today's economy? Okay, well, I'll tell you. You live rural, all right? You buy you a cheap house. I bought mine for $40,000, okay, with an acre of land. Raise some of your own food. It's harder work, and it's hard to find. Okay, I've spent 7 years remodeling the inside of this house. I still ain't done. I'm close. I'm very close, but I still ain't done. But it's paid for, folks. It's paid for. And guess what? Now I've got the money that I didn't spend on that. I spent on rental properties that are, guess what? Paid for. Okay? So, you know, if something happens, I ain't worried about it. I'm not worried about it. It would suck. Okay, the thing burns down tomorrow. Well, I got another one that's paid for. Now I'd lose my rental income, and I'd lose all the money I put into this thing. I've also got fire insurance, but you know what? If they want to try to screw me over, oh well. I'll take them to court. Alright, and I got plenty of time to fight it, because I got another paid for house. Okay, ain't nobody got me by anything. And that's the way you need to be, especially if you're going to be providing for your family. You have to be the one. Okay, you have to be the one who is in charge in your life. And the only way to do that is to have backups to your backup. And the only way to do that is work your butt off, especially unless you come from a bunch of money and can afford to do what you need to do and just set it up all on the beginning. But you just have to work your butt off for years, decades, honestly. I've been working since I was 15, 16 years old in a formal job. I'm 32 now, 16 years. And I'm just now to the point, well, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. I'm just now to the point to where, ain't none of it really bothered me. Okay? Now, could other people do things to me that would suck? Yes, absolutely. But nothing any one person could do to me could be detrimental. And so, once you get to that point, you're doing okay, and you're able to stand on your own 2 feet and support your family. And that should be our goal as men. Okay, especially if you've got kids and a wife and so forth. That should be your goal. Making sure that those people are taken care of, no matter what knucklehead from the outside comes around and decides they're going to sue you like they did me. Or they're going to fire you because you don't bend the knee to them and kiss their butt the way they want you to. Okay? Nah, I ain't playing that game. I ain't playing it. I'll take my cards and I'll go home. I ain't playing it. So, no, don't do it. Get yourself some skills. Okay, that's the biggest hedge against any of these issues. If you can build something with your hands, it doesn't matter if you really have the paperwork to do it, to be honest with you. If you can do it, then nobody can stop you. I can build a house with my own 2 hands, okay? Now, legally, you need paperwork for that. do it for somebody else. But you know what? There's a lot of people who want to build things, and they don't care whether or not you got that paperwork. And I'm not advocating for that, but what I am telling you is, if you live this lifestyle and you do a little bit of homestead and you raise a little bit of your own food, you fix up your own house that you bought for $40,000, you also get the valuable skills for free. You get them for free most of the time, because you have to fix the stuff yourself. You have to build it yourself. You have to build your own woodshed. You got to build your own barn. And guess what? Then by that logic, you're also buying the tools you need, because you're having to do it. So you live this life, and it's hard for the first decade or two. But then once everything's set up, nobody can tell you anything. It's quite nice. I will tell you that. It is quite nice. As long as you follow the law, ain't nothing nobody can do to you. Okay? So I'd highly recommend it if you got a family. I can't speak highly enough of it, but if you're living in the suburbs right now and you don't know how to change your own faucet, you call yourself a man, I'd be thinking about that. Because the second you lose your job, the one job you got paying you may be making 6 figures, you may be making 7 figures. But if you lose that job that relies on somebody else, or your business folds and you ain't got nothing else lined up, and then your faucet breaks, well, you're about useless then, because you ain't got no money to pay a plumber and you can't fix it yourself. So don't be useless. Go do something.